Welcome to 101 East. I'm Steve Chow. For centuries in China, jade has been more precious than gold. An obsession for the imperial gem among the newly rich is driving a multi-billion-dollar trade. But the highest quality jade comes from neighboring Myanmar, where workers risk their lives in drug-infested mines. Chantao Cho follows a trail taken by smugglers and uncovers the human cost of this coveted gem.
The glow of green. Once only royalty could feast their eyes on jade, the imperial stone. Today it is coveted all over China as a status symbol, a treasure, and a blessing.
We have an old saying, gold is valuable, but jade is priceless. There's also a widespread belief that jade protects you. My mother once suffered a bad fall. Her jade bangle shattered, but she was fine.
At the Shanghai World Jewelry Expo, jade is on show. Auctioneers put the opening bid for top-grade jade items at more than $160 a gram, 4 times the price of gold.
一旦中国人喜欢了，因为中国人多呀，然后大量的去购买，
那价值
就会上去。
The most valuable jade in the world is called jadeite, known for its vivid green translucence. Mined in Myanmar, most of it is exported to China, but trade figures don't add up. Myanmar's official revenue from jade exports was $1.3 billion over 3 years. Yet a recent study estimated total jade sales were 6 times higher in 2011 alone. So where are the missing billions? To find out, I'm going to follow a smuggling trail through a remote and volatile region in Myanmar, where the military and an ethnic armed group fight over rich natural resources. My investigation begins in Mandalay, a major trading hub for northern and central Myanmar. The jade market here is said to be the largest and busiest in the world. Every morning, local brokers try to impress Chinese traders to part with their cash. I talk to a few of them to find out how they do business, and soon discover the first signs of illegal trading. Jade sold here should come with tax documents and certificates, but none of the brokers I spoke to have them. 这个生意算便宜还是贵？不贵吧？不贵，不贵。为什么不贵？不需要付税是吗？不贵。好便宜，便宜。是不是因为不需要付税？不需要付税吗？ This flies in the face of the Myanmar government's recent attempts to regulate the industry. It wants foreign traders to bid for jade at the annual Gems Emporium in the capital city of Naypyidaw. But illegal trade remains rampant. On the outskirts of Mandalay, I find a compound where vehicles smuggling jade to China are impounded. Even normal cars like these are used to carry jade illegally. You don't need a big vehicle to smuggle it, because first, this is inconspicuous, and for the high-end stuff, even a rock this size is worth a few $100,000. And if you look at the hidden compartment in here, there's definitely room for a few of those. I also see a truck where a secret compartment has been installed to hide gems. Customs officers at a nearby checkpoint say they seize a few such vehicles a month. They don't want to be interviewed, but tell me greater powers must be involved for the sheer volume that slips through the net. The Myanmar government won't speak to us on camera, but a senior official from the Ministry of Mines wants to meet informally to talk business. We roll our hidden cameras. He says it's easy to export jade and offers to help falsify tax documents. I ask if he has helped other businessmen smuggle jade. What kind of help can you give to make it easier? The towns he mentions are key points on the smuggling trail, beginning in the mining town of Pakant.
Ladies and gentlemen, the seabed sign has been switched on.
I'm traveling to the northern Kachin state, where the world's largest jadeite mines produce the best stones. For years, mining companies paid lucrative taxes to both the military government and a powerful ethnic armed group, the Kachin Independence Army. Both sides went to war in 2011, ending a 17-year ceasefire. It forced the companies to stop mining. In September this year, with peace talks in place, the government allowed them to resume work. But most companies are holding back full operations as tensions remain high on the ground. Today, strict checkpoints are located along the only road to Pakant. The mining town is out of bounds to foreigners, and especially journalists. But I found a driver willing to risk taking me there if I pay him well. He turns out to be a jade smuggler himself. We'll call him the Major. That's his rank in a Kachin militia group, which splintered and is now part of the government's border guard force. He's going to Pakant for a deal involving 80 tons of raw jade. I am told to dress up as one of his men and stay quiet at checkpoints and rest stops. The distance of the whole journey is only about 100 kilometers, but it takes anything from 8 to 12 hours or even more to get there, simply because the roads are so bad. The Major says he makes this trip a few times a month. I ask him how much jade is sold through official channels. He tells me he has no problems clearing checkpoints. And he says the army is on the payroll. The Major says he also leads convoys of trucks that traffic raw jade to China. They earn up to $400,000 each time. He says 90% of it goes to bribing the Myanmar army and police commanders along the smuggling trail. The remainder is split between himself and his paramilitary group. As night falls, after clearing 9 checkpoints, we enter the prohibited town. The Major drops us at a pre-arranged hideout. So this is my first morning in Pakant. I can't stay in the only hotel in town because they have to register all the guests and report to the authorities who's staying there, and I have to stay under the radar. I visit a private mining company preparing to resume operations. Ucho is the manager here. He shows me this stash of old jade stock, more than 100 tons on clearance sale for $700,000.
Because this is not very good quality, we are waiting for the buyer.
I learned that connected buyers from China also come here to cut out the middlemen. Who are the people who come and buy? Are they locals or Chinese?
Some that come from the China and Chinese buyer.
Those from China, are they here legally?
Illegally.
Ucho has connections with both the government and the Kachin Independence Army, or KIA. He's part of a mediation team for their peace talks. As Chinese demand drives up jade prices, both sides want more of the pie and can't agree on new tax policies. Ucho offers rare insight into what goes on behind the scenes.
The
KIA is unhappy that in the past, the government granted some companies tens of thousands of acres to mine jade. Those who are close to the government profit a lot more. But most of the revenue from raw jade doesn't go to the KIA or the government.
Ucho says corrupt officials profit the most.
We've lost many opportunities to develop the region, even though there are precious jade reserves in Kachin State. The government neglects it because the KIA operates here. Its attitude seems to be, the more jade reserves are depleted, the weaker KIA will be.
I make my way to a vantage point for one of the largest mines. I have to be careful not to be seen. From the looks of it, they're just preparing the ground and clearing the top layers for further excavation. And once excavation begins, it'll be one of massive scale. I see hundreds of people swarming towards a single spot. These are the small-time jade pickers of Pakant, fortune hunters who risk life and limb, rushing to sift through the mine tailings. With dreams of making it rich, they leave no stone unturned.
Our work is dangerous. I've seen falling rocks break many people's legs. Some were killed because they dozed off and an excavator dumped rocks on them.
We're always competing for the best stone in this land of treasure. It gets aggressive when a soul comes from the site where a fresh layer of raw jade has been found.
The most precious stone I found was sold for $4,000 in July. That's the best one so far.
This is the unregulated bedrock of the industry. From across Myanmar, tens of thousands of mine pickers flooded here after large companies suspended mining. Some work alone, others in groups supported by businessmen. They get a cut of what they find, often earning $200 to $300 a month from mediocre stones. There is no paper trail to trace the raw jade that leaves their hands, which quite likely goes straight into the black market. What you can't see here is a dark force that fuels their back-breaking labor.
75% of the miners in Pakhan are drug addicts.
This jade picker admits he's one of them.
Just $2 is enough for my daily dose of drugs. It helps me withstand the harsh weather, rain or shine. I can only afford $2 to $5, but it will help keep me going for more hours.
He says it's easy to buy illegal drugs here, especially heroin and yama, a type of methamphetamine. To see the scale of the problem, a local contact takes our hidden cameras to one of Pakhan's drug dens. Hours later, he hands me shocking footage of stalls packed with small-time miners getting high for a few dollars a hit. Inside a tent, a dealer and his customer talk about a hardcore addict who frequents this place. $10 is an average daily wage, all gone up in smoke. In Pakhant, I've found rampant drug use, smuggling and corruption. But our investigation has drawn the attention of local authorities. it's time to go. We are leaving before first light to avoid the first military checkpoint getting out of here. They're not set up this early because they're afraid that the KIA might sneak up on them and attack them. Let's go. I'm heading east to Myitkyina, the capital of Kachin State, where I can move freely. I travel by car, clearing the first few checkpoints by pretending to sleep. And then a detour aboard a slow train for the rest of the journey. We've seen how the jade trade comes with a human cost. I'm about to discover its full extent. This drug rehab center in Myitkyina opened in July. It has more than 50 recovering addicts. Nearly all of them worked in the jade mines. Rehab methods border on the extreme. Some are forcibly brought here, shackled and made to repent, as recovering addicts sing Christian songs of worship. Each one has a story about how lawless mining destroyed their lives. I meet Ong Chomo, a small-time jade picker for 20 years. He became a slave to addiction.
Our boss gave us yama, so we could work all night. If we found jade, he kept the earnings and gave us more drugs. Then he introduced heroin to us. At first we thought it was medicine. After a month, we were so addicted we couldn't live without it. We worked harder to get more from him. We couldn't escape the cycle. If he'd asked us to kill someone for drugs, we would have done it.
Ong has been here for 2 weeks. He's still fighting withdrawal. His wife left him a few years ago. Ong went into rehab when he realized he was about to lose his son as well.
My son is in 11th grade. He came second in his exams. I wanted to see him badly, but he wouldn't let me visit his dorm. He was too ashamed of me because I was so thin from drug abuse. He didn't want others to know that I was his father. I was depressed. I didn't want to live like that. I promised to clean up and be a new man.
Many of these addicts have difficulty sleeping at night. They gather and sing to pass time. The manager, a former addict himself, tells me why so many Pakant miners end up here.
Drugs are everywhere in Pakant because there's easy money from the jade mines.
In Myanmar, drug offences are subject to harsh penalties, including execution. He says there has to be rampant corruption for drugs to be so openly available in Pakant.
Government officials collude with businessmen to smuggle drugs. They clear the way for dealers to take it through the checkpoints. So addicts grow in numbers and the corrupt officials grow richer.
The next morning, Ong Chomo is excited and nervous. His family is paying him a visit. He wants to make up for lost years, especially with his son. The last time they met, Ong was struggling with the addiction that tore his family apart. He shows his sister and son around the center and shares how he overcame his withdrawal symptoms.
It was tough. I couldn't eat anything for 12 days. I couldn't walk. The camp leaders had to shower me.
I'm really happy that my father isn't using drugs anymore. He used to beat me up if he didn't have money for drugs. He would steal from the house and fight with us. It was very sad.
Over the years, hundreds of thousands of miners like Ong have borne the human cost of the jade trade, forming the exploited underbelly of the industry. Our investigation has revealed at least 3 smuggling routes after raw jade leaves Pakant to reach the porous border between Myanmar and China. From Myitkyina, one route goes east, another goes south, both through border trade towns. And the third route from the jade trading hub of Mandalay goes northeast to Muse. Across its border lies Railly, part of a Chinese duty-free zone known for its jade and redwood wholesalers. It's my next stop on the smuggling trail. Myanmar enjoys its most vibrant border trade here, recording over $3 billion in transactions last year. Railly is where the official from the Myanmar Ministry of Mines said our smuggled jade would end up if we went into business together.
Most of the stones here are probably illegal.
Nin A is one of many Myanmar wholesalers for raw jade in this Chinese town where she has lived for 20 years. I ask who her suppliers are.
I can't really say because everyone is involved. The Kachin Independence Army are in this business, so we have to be friends with them. I have to deal with former Myanmar Army officers as well. On the Chinese side, you can't do anything if you don't have the money to pay them off. So the Chinese, the Myanmar officials, and the KIA are all involved. This is not something normal people are in a position to do.
Depending on the quality of the stone, Nin A pays her suppliers upwards of $6,000 a ton. She's about to make a profit of $8,000 from these Chinese traders who are buying 18 tons of raw jade.
Our goods go to all the big cities in China, as well as Hong Kong, Macau and Taiwan. We've been to Myanmar ourselves to get our stock. But I better not say too much. There are transport companies and friends who bring it over. Once the goods reach China, you don't have to worry if they were smuggled. It's as legal as the Chinese currency.
Legal and worth a fortune by the time it is crafted and sold to collectors, like Meng Mingrong, a Shanghai real estate tycoon.
这也算正在质保了吧？
多重啊？
它有800公斤，雕刻以后估计也750公斤。我们的这个。
He shows me around a 100-year-old mansion that he is restoring to make into a restaurant. The lobby centerpiece is carved from Chinese jade.
那么它的价值大概多少钱？这个价值我投入在400万左右。
That's nothing compared to what he paid for this set of 9 sculptures carved out of Myanmar jadeite. $5 million. He considers it a steal.
In the last few years, jadeite has proven to be a far superior investment than real estate. In the next 3 to 5 years, its value might increase by more than 10 times. There aren't many mines in Myanmar. After so many years of large-scale excavation, jadeite is becoming rare. That's the biggest reason for its increasing value.
I ask if he knows China's demand fuels a drug-infested mining industry in Myanmar.
Jadeite is just too valuable. That's why people risk their lives. It's testimony to the value of jade. The miners may have a tough life, but if they find the right jade, they could become millionaires or even billionaires.
Back in Myanmar, the temptation to unearth more treasure continues to draw men to the jade mines. At the rehab center, Ong Cho Mo plans to return to a life of mining when he leaves here in 3 months. He says things will be different this time.
I'll take my son with me. When I see him, I'll remember not to use drugs. I want to teach him all I know about the jade trade.
He has convinced his 15-year-old son to join him so they can seek their fortunes together. The fear of relapse is real, but the lure of jade is too powerful.
Drugs are everywhere in Pakistan. If he loses control just once, he will be addicted again. But Pakistan is the land of jade. If I can find high-quality jade, I'll be rich. I want to become rich as quickly as possible.
It's a dream shared by many miners here, seeking wealth from the heart of the land, only to be cursed by the greed of man.